When I write for voice and instruments, I usually write the vocal line first. And often I'm, a page or two ahead with the voice and the instruments are catching up. I don't know whether that's a good idea or not. It's just what I do. But what it means is that it's very vocally led, the music, and everything seems to come out of the vocal line. So what the instruments do is an amplification of the voice or a response to the voice, or maybe an attempt to negate what the voice is doing, but it's all in relation to the voice. I think I like the sound of voices, full stop. And in some of the pieces that have used speaking voices, recorded voices, bits of interviews like Elegy in a Country Graveyard, it's not just what they say, it's the way they say it. And the broad Australian country accents of the speakers is a part of the music. And I don't edit them, by the way, like Steve Reich, for instance, and try to turn them into melodies. I try to let them run on, because one of the things that I like about voices speaking is the inherent music in the way they speak, and that includes tempo, it includes repetition, people stumbling over words, all of that, but the sort of musical contours of speech. So I'm attracted to voices per se, and I guess it's only a sort of short step from that to singing voices, and I like different singing voices. I like the character in a voice. I don't like voices to be too perfect. I want to hear the human being behind the voice. That's one of the things that appealed to me about Gerald English. When I first met him, he was 58, and I'd been a big fan of his since I was a teenager. And I asked if I could write a piece for him, and he said yes. So I wrote this piece called Sacred Places for the Seymour Group. And I remember thinking at the time, I wish I'd met him earlier, because, he must be going to retire soon. But of course, he went on singing until his late 70s. And I found that rather thrilling. One piece I wrote for Jerry English, it had a setting of a poem by Thomas Campion in it, and the line, "Do not mock me in thy bed while these cold nights freeze me dead." And I put freeze, I think, on a top E. And in the first rehearsal, Jerry came over to me. He said, "You see this?" He said, "I can make a really kind of cold sort of sound there on freeze because it's high. Would you like that?" I said, "Yeah, I've written it into the score. That's what you're going to do there when you sing that." I liked his older voice. I liked Peter Pears. The more mannered he became. I mean, I know there were people who were absolutely allergic to the voice. I like the old Schwarzkopf sound, and I like young voices too. But I remember hearing a piece of mine, a choral piece sung by a choir from New Zealand, and they were not the kind of choir you hear much anymore. When you hear choral singing now, it's all very precise and beautiful and blended and young. And these were singers of a certain age, and they sounded like real people, and they blended quite nicely. But it wasn't that kind of angelic sound. It was a real sound, and there was sort of wobble there and warmth and wisdom in the voices. And so I suppose, above all, when I work with voices, it's the humanity that appeals to me.